starting. What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday. Brian Downard here. Alex is traveling, done traveling, but in California at an event speaking. So you guys get me today, but I'm excited because the topic we're going to cover today is right up my alley, and this is exactly what I love to cover. I'm going to put just some of the outline of the show here in the chat. Ignore Alex's good-looking face on the icon. I am on his account. It's okay. But these are things we're going to cover today. So if you can be on camera, I would very much appreciate that. If you're doing something like driving or you're distracted or it's busy, or if you're busy, totally fine. If you want to just listen in, love to see your beautiful faces though, if possible. Carlos, what's up, man? Nice to see your face. Thanks for hopping on. Dave and Peter, thank you everyone so much for your time. For those of you who are on time, I'm going to just get started today. I have a lot to cover and we're going to make sure you guys get the most out of this. So a couple of things we're going to get into today. Drop that in the chat. The very first thing is going to be the best outbound and inbound prospecting strategies you can use to generate prospects who want to buy your services. Obviously, very important. There are a lot of options. I see clients, unfortunately, kind of get paralyzed by the amount of options at their disposal. So what I'm going to make sure I do today is go through all of them and make sure you guys feel, and gals here, feel like the ones that I'm laying out are the ones best suited to where you're at. What's up, Dave Savage? Just haven't seen you in a minute. Nice to see you here today, man. So I'm also going to share with you our revenue goal setting calculator. I'm probably going to do that first because it makes more sense, in my opinion, to just let you guys have access to that, to see it, use it, and really reverse engineer what you are trying to achieve. I feel like a lot of us are in this mode of hustle, hustle, hustle. This is called the Anti-Hustlers Weekly Show because we believe in building a business with intention. It's very interesting to me how many clients come to our program having these revenue goals. Hey, I want to make 100,000 a month or 50,000 or 300,000 a month, but not really asking or sharing like what's the profit they're trying to get to? What is the revenue goal? I'm sorry, the profit goal versus the revenue goal, and what's the salary you want to pay yourself? So really trying to reverse engineer what you actually want to earn is very, very helpful on this journey. So you're not just working for the sake of working and you don't keep moving that goalpost down the line. And this revenue calculator should help you with that. And then lastly, we're going to get into really how you can delegate this entire process so you can focus on higher leverage activities in the business. And now, if I'm being totally honest here, and a really refreshing take that one of our newer coaches, Avery, has been sharing with us is, even though Avery is running his $6 million a year agency, he's still rolling up his sleeves, getting his hands dirty, and doing some of this outbound organic prospecting himself. I feel very strongly and am of the opinion that if you are the owner of your company, you need to be the rainmaker. You are responsible for making sure the bills are paid, the revenue is coming in, and even when you hire a team around you to help you do that, it's still your job to make sure your team is doing that. So you can't just like give up and like, oh, throw your hands up and I'm going to go sit on a beach. If you can build out a team at some point, that's good enough. You can for sure. But I just want all of you who are in a place where you're feeling like, I want to grow my business, I'm not where I want to be yet. Be okay with being in a season of hustle. Do it with intention, but building towards that place where then you can have the time freedom you want. So cool. I'm going to jump into the content now. Again, for those of you who are just hopping in, if you can be on camera, that'd be great. I love seeing your pretty faces. And Dave, I think you were logging in. You didn't hear me yet, but I was just saying, what's up? It's nice to see you, man. Thanks for joining us. Cool. So first things first, let's get into the revenue estimator calculator. I'm going to share my screen here and I want to show everyone what I got. If you are here watching with us in the Zoom, drop just a 1 in the chat if you want me to share this resource with you. I'll make sure Jen who's our awesome executive assistant here and amazing appointment setter, make sure you guys get what you need there. But in this revenue estimator, there's a couple of things. I want you to be able to, and can I edit this? Okay, I'm going to make a copy of this. It doesn't look like I can edit this one, no problem. Yeah, drop a 1 in the comments if you want access, and we'll make sure we send this over to you. Okay. So anything highlighted in yellow is something that you can edit. It's something that you can change. So right now we have $1 million as the annual goal. So this will be $1 million agency. And what that breaks down to is about $83,333 per month. But this goal could be different for you. Maybe you're in a place where, hey, I just want to build a $300,000 agency, and that's a $25,000 a month run rate. So I'm going to, for the sake of easier math, we'll use a little bit lower numbers, but we can edit that here. Right here along the value ladder, these are the different offers that you could currently sell. Now, most of you, I'm going to say, probably not going to have any done for you courses or masterclass right now. So I'm going to just put those to the side and not really worried about it. Most of you are going to be offering some sort of done for you marketing service where you're going to be providing that service to a client. So here in the price, this is where you guys can plug in your own data. So for me, we'll use POD as an example. Most of our programs start at around $3,000 per month. So I can see based on that, and I can play with this math, how many sales do I need? Or if you're looking at recurring revenue, how many clients do you need at that price point to reach the goal? So let's start playing with this. I'm going to actually get rid of this one for now too. We'll just assume, there's no add-ons, there's no upsells. You just do one service, and bluntly, one service is really all you need to get to $1 million anyway. So many people try and do too much. No, pick one thing, get really damn good at it, get one good acquisition channel, and you can be off to the races. So if I was playing with this number right here, let's go to say 20. It's a lot less. Like we're probably looking at, forgive my terrible math. Okay, so around 8 clients. So you can start to see, okay, I need 8 clients at $3,000 a month to get to $24,000, just $1,000 shy of $25,000 a month. So pretty simple math, right? You're multiplying how many customers you have by the revenue number. Pretty straightforward. Here's where it gets fun though. This is really the most important part of this in my opinion. You need to come down to now your monthly actions, or if you're looking at this as an overall number of clients and recurring revenue, this could just call it your actions. And this is where you can start to plug in, okay, what's your closing percentage? You might not have this just yet. It's okay. Highly encourage you to start tracking it so you know how many sales calls you took versus how many you actually closed. On average, if you have referrals and people are sending them to you, your close rate's going to probably be, close to 50%. It's not going to be that hard, but we can't really rely on referrals to grow a business. Good closers are going to close probably in the 20 to 30% range. And then if you have people selling for you, especially to people that are coming in from leads coming from cold traffic, like ads, they're probably going to be in the neighborhood of 15 to 20%. So let's be really conservative here. And let's just say, your close rate needs some work. So it's going to be a bit lower. I don't like what it did to the numbers there. I'm just going to go to 20%. Let's say you're closing 1 out of 5 calls you take. So that means you need to get 40 sales calls booked in order to achieve these numbers. If I'm closing at a 20% rate, that's going to be my 8 clients at $3,000 a month. Cool. Let's take this even further. How many leads do you need to generate in order to book 1 phone call? Now, you could use this calculator in a couple of different ways. If you are running paid ads, this could be something that I'm going to go ahead and mute anyone here who has got unmuted. It's okay. No worries. I'm just going to make some mutes. Okay. There's no echoes now. All right. So this, if you were running paid ads, let's just say it costs, or you need 10 leads to get one sales call booked. Okay. So 400 leads to get to those 40 sales calls at a 20% close rate to get 8 clients. Are you guys with me so far? Drop a 7 in the chat if this is making sense so far before I continue. Okay, excellent. So why this becomes extremely important is now you can start to reverse engineer, if you are running paid ads, what is your cost per lead roughly? And if we're talking about 400 leads, roughly how much money are you going to need to spend on your ads to get those 400 leads? So I'm going to, again, I'll do easy math here. I got my calculator out. I'm going to say, you are doing about $20 per lead, and multiply that by 400. So you should be expecting to pay about $8,000 in ad spend to get those leads if all of the numbers are appropriate. And this is such a fun exercise because now you're starting to not just focus on the outcomes of, hey, I want X dollars, I want X clients. It's what are the actual lead indicators, the actions you need to take to produce the outcomes. And in this case, through this example, it's going to be 400 leads. And if I'm running paid ads, I have to pay out about $8,000. And again, if you're not in a place where you can spend $8,000 on ads, that's okay. Maybe you start at, or $8,000 a month on ads. You can maybe start at $1,000 a month, and then over 8 months, achieve this. And as you earn more, maybe you start to spend a little bit more. Now, let's say you're not running ads at all. Let's say you're doing organic outreach on Facebook or LinkedIn or one of those platforms, and you know that every 30 people you reach out to, you're going to get one positive response that generates you a phone call. So now you're starting to see, okay, well, I'm going to have to reach out to 1,200 people. If I'm reaching out to 50 people a day, that's roughly going to take me 24 days to do. Now, a lot of this is going to hinge on your ability to actually get those people to respond. We're going to be talking about that today in this workshop. I really just wanted to start here though. So, and last thought on this before we move on is really playing with your price. It's so incredible how just the smallest incremental increase in your pricing can make a big difference. If you are trying to compete on price and trying to be the cheapest one, you're going to need a lot more clients to get these numbers. So you're going to need, 20, 40, looks like 40 clients, 45 clients. And now look at how the math starts to get a little wonky here. Now we're talking like, okay, now you need 225 sales calls, or I'm going to go back to the 10 leads running ads, or 2,250 leads. Like, that's a lot of freaking sales calls. That's a lot of leads and a lot of ad spend you're going to have to spit out. So just increasing your rate by $500, by $1,000 is going to be one of the biggest, easiest levers you guys can pull in your business. And it's going to really help you achieve your revenue goals much quicker. It allows you to provide a higher level of service for your clients, and it's going to require less work because you're going to be doing less sales calls, have to generate less leads to hit the higher revenue numbers. So we'll, in another episode, talk more about how you can charge that premium, what you should be doing. This is all just so you guys can start to reverse engineer your actual financial goals and not just have it, I want to earn $1 million. Okay, what's your price point? How many sales calls based on your close rate? How many leads do you need to generate? These are the things you really need to start thinking about in order to reverse engineer your goals. So thank you so much for letting me go through that piece first. That's something we're going to start with. I'm going to drop here in the chat just so you guys have it also, this document. Give me one moment here. Copy link. Anyone here watching the replay, we'll make sure you get this in the group as well. So there's a link to that. Go ahead and hold on to it until the end of the episode and stay focused here. And we're going to keep rolling through it. What's up, Ruti? Nice to see you. Got some POD fam in the house. Love seeing that. And Dave Savage too. Graduated POD fam, but still POD fam nonetheless. All right, guys. So let's get into the second piece of this now, which is the actual prospecting strategies you're going to be utilizing that you have at your disposal. I'm going to go back to my screen share here. And by the way, before I share this, I want you guys to be really clear. This is the exact content and training we're giving to some of our paid clients. And our paid clients have access to this. Why are we doing that? Why are we giving away so much free value? We believe that information can only get you so far. Hands-on coaching, accountability, and not just information, that will not create the transformation you are looking for. It's a start for sure, but we believe in giving away as much of this information as possible to help as many people as we can, because we know that'll pay dividends as you guys start to get those wins and come back to us. So what's up, Ganesh? Nice to see you, man. Thanks for tuning in again. All right, let's get back to it. We're giving away some good stuff today. So there are inbound and outbound prospecting strategies. Just to simplify this, inbound is going to be anything where people are coming to you, right? This is going to be referrals, ads, possibly a strategic partner who can send people your way. And then there's going to be outbound, where you actually are going to the people you want to serve. You are generating conversations, you are initiating them and seeing if there is interest in what you currently do. And to me, the most scalable thing is always going to be inbound. If you have the income to afford to invest in ads, and then you have the time and connections, which you can earn over time to get to strategic partners, that's going to be the best strategy all day long, in my opinion. But why I love outbound prospecting so much, which we're going to spend a good amount of time on the show talking about today, would be you control this. You don't always control the leads coming through Facebook. You don't always control the referrals you get. And I'm sure all of you can relate to getting a referral from a client that's an easy close, but that client they referred you isn't the best fit, isn't the best client. Like, even though you could close it, you didn't get to control that, right? With outbound, you control this. You get to be very intentional about who you want to serve. Do you want to serve people who are only already spending money on ads? Do you only want to go after real estate brokerages who have more than 5 agents? You get to pick that, and you get to really control your own destiny. I had a client yesterday on a kickoff call, and he was really wanting to get the ball rolling. How do I get sales calls booked like right now? And frankly, it's the least fun, least sexy thing. And we don't love to coach this, but it can work, is cold calling, because you completely, and I'm not going to recommend you guys cold call here. Bear with me. Don't hang up on me, because I got better strategies than that for you. And I'll tell you how to warm up a cold call. But to me, like, now you're not waiting for someone to get back to you. You are going directly to them. You're manufacturing luck by shrinking the sales process and going directly to a person with a question of, hey, are you guys in a place where you can handle more business? We partner up with X niche. And if you're in that place, I'd love to talk to you about it. And now you are giving them a chance to either say, yeah, I'm interested in this, let's talk about it, or no, we're good. Either way, that's fine. But the point I'm getting at is, you create that luck. You can go do that right this second. You don't have to set up ads or send a message or an email and wait for someone to get back to you when it's convenient. You're going directly to them. You're cutting out all the middle bullshit. So I'm going to talk more about how you can make that more effective. I just want to let you guys know why I personally love prospecting and outbound prospecting so much. Cool. So 3 categories of prospecting. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so it's easy for everyone to see. We have hunting, fishing, and farming. Hunting is anything where you're going to go one-to-one. Metaphorically, it's you and that deer in the forest. That deer is the client you want to serve, and you're going one-to-one. You're going to go hunt and find individual leads and people you can serve. This is most effective when you are in a place where you have more time than money. A lot of beginning agency owners can really thrive and find success off of this. If you're not in a place where you are well connected yet, or you can't afford to really spend a lot of money on ads, this is going to be the default strategy I always recommend, because you can do it right now. You can manufacture luck. Second to that, similar to hunting, but in a different vein, fishing is where you find that metaphoric pond of your ideal clients. Where are the fish you want to catch? And instead of just putting out one line at a time or one arrow at a time, like if you were hunting, fishing, you can cast a net. So an example of this would be a group of, let's say you work with realtors or real estate brokers. You'd go find a real estate broker association or group in your local community that already has well-established agents, maybe dozens of them already in one singular place. You go participate in that community, either through adding value through content, just showing up at the events, possibly paying to sponsor events like Alex is right now. We just paid $15,000 to sponsor this event in California, because we know that'll be a net positive result for us with the clients that we want to serve there. There's 50 people who are our ideal clients in a room right now with Alex, and he's fishing. So guys, this works. We do this ourselves right now. And then farming would be a little bit of a hybrid of this. We're not really going to go too deep here, but farming is where you plant your own seeds that grow into opportunities on their own. And this is a little bit of a hybrid, or it's inbound and outbound, because an example of this would be running ads and or running a Facebook group. Now, I don't really recommend running a Facebook group as the first thing you do. It's very effective. You guys are, unfortunately the live stream didn't work today, but a lot of you found about us from this group. You're in the group. It's a very effective strategy to create inbound opportunities, nurture people, and have them coming to you. So that was just kind of a quick overview of inbound versus outbound. I'm going to leave up the screen here just for a moment so anyone can take a screenshot of this, or, and in the recording, you can pause it and read through this a little more. This is some more of the reasons around why I think this is effective and why you should consider this. Also, the pros and cons, inbound versus outbound. I would never pick one over the other. I think you should be doing both. And if you are not in a place, again, where you can afford to be paying for inbound ads right now, then just focusing on the outbound is totally fine. Cool. So screenshot this or come back to it in the recording and pause it a little bit later. But let's get into now where you can actually start doing this. Best places to do any form of outbound prospecting is going to be cold email, Facebook groups, which mean reaching out to personal accounts and or the admins and leaders of those groups. Facebook and Instagram business pages, where you could DM the business pages from your personal account. there's LinkedIn, and there's cold or warm calling. So these are the different mechanisms. Now, you could, of course, add on to here other platforms, and forgive my ignorance, not a huge TikTok person. Pretty sure you can DM and message people inside of TikTok. So could be another platform, but you really want to go to where your customers are already spending time. And these are going to be those places. And this is like a sidebar. One of the reasons I love email is as long as you are doing it appropriately and you have good domain authority and you're not, it's not just a spam fest, this can work really well because there's not really a limitation. You're only limited by the amount of emails you can scrape together to send the message to. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, they all have limits on how many messages you can send per day. So there is a little bit of a glass ceiling in some of them, still very effective and worthwhile, just worth noting. And then again, cold calling and warm calling, no, that's like this. There's no one stopping you. You can pick up your phone right now and call any business you want and do that as many times as you want. Again, is it the most fun thing? No. Is it effective? Yes, it's very effective if you're good at it. Cool. So I'm going to take a breath here, grab a drink of water. Let me know so far if you guys in the chat drop a 7 if this is helpful so far, if you're enjoying this, and then we can get into the rest of the meat here. Awesome. Cool. Glad you guys are liking this. By the way, if any questions are coming up for you as I'm going through this, or you have a question specifically around outbound prospecting, inbound lead gen, anything, just drop that in the chat. I'll make sure I address that for you as we are going through the show today. All right, so here's the actual nitty gritty of the how-to. I'm not just going to talk about the what and the why. I'm going to give you guys the how-to today. So for cold outreach, this would be hunting. First step is choosing a platform. Where do your clients hang out? If you're working with white collar businesses like lawyers, doctors, insurance, those are going to be on LinkedIn a lot of the times. For sure, Facebook as well. But if you're more in the blue collar industries, roofing, HVAC, that type of stuff, Facebook is going to be a really good place. And then also cold email is just anyone really, because we all have emails. Once you choose that platform, and by the way, I would start with one platform at a time. I would not recommend trying to do multiple ones out of the gate. Pick one that makes the most sense for you, get good, get consistent. We can hire someone to then take it over for you. And then you can go layer on to the next one. Cool. Ken and Ruti, thank you for the questions. I'll definitely get to those here in just a moment. Cool. So step 2 is you want to batch compile your list. What does that mean? Instead of every time you sit down to go do prospecting, you create the list trying to find new people to reach out to, just take 1 to 2 hours a week or a couple hours a month and get a big list. One of my favorite tools for this is D7 Lead Finder or PPC Ad Lab, or you can use niche specific platforms like Houzz or Yelp, Thumbtack, Home Advisor. Platforms like that are more niche specific, super helpful as well. And also just Google. Google's an amazing place where you can just go type in plumbers in Troy, Michigan, and then get a huge list of all of the top plumbers in that area. Now, this is something where I would, if you are doing it that way and you're using Google in that capacity, probably hire a VA. You don't want to be scraping information by yourself, but the easier way to mass scrape lists together would be through D7. So some of you may have heard of D7 before, but you may not know this feature. So I'm going to pull up a list example here that they just have. Someone 10 minutes ago created this list of roofers in Springtown, Texas. Once you get this list, there's a column here. This is very important where you can click ads and I can sort by who is running ads and who is not. This is shocking that I don't see more people here actually who are running ads as roofers in Texas. Probably a huge opportunity there. So I'm going to go try dentists in Miami. This might give me a little bit better of an example. One moment. Loading ads. Okay, cool. Much better example. So why this is so important is because we like to coach. It's easier to get someone who's already spending money on ads to spend more and or move that money around to pay you than it is to convince someone who's not spending money currently. So if I was scraping together a list of people that I wanted to reach out to, but businesses in my niche, I'd make these lists and I would delete anyone on the list who isn't currently advertising. Could you convince them to start running ads? Do some of them potentially have the budget? Maybe, but I want to go for the cream of the crop. This is where that, intentional outreach comes in, and you don't just have to have a shotgun approach, but you can be more laser focused. And some of you are thinking, well, if I'm selling Facebook ads and they're already running Facebook ads, like, does that make sense? Absolutely. You have no context as to what that looks like. Maybe they're running it in-house and it's garbage. Maybe their agency that they work with currently is underperforming and they're looking for better help. You need to give yourself the opportunity to have the conversation. And also, maybe if you're selling Google ads, but you see them running Facebook and Instagram, hey, there's an opportunity to go in there. They could spend more on a different platform. Maybe they hate the results they're getting on Facebook and Instagram, and they want to move those ad dollars around. But this is one of the first places I would start to find those types of people. PPC Ad Lab is another great tool for this. This is going to be if you are in a niche that's a bit harder to find. So for example, one of the clients I was working with yesterday, he was talking about like breath work practitioners. D7 Lead Finder isn't going to have that as a niche you can just pull up. So what PPC Ad Lab does is it lets you plug in keywords related to your industry, and now it will pull every brand running an ad on Google. So again, you're starting to compile that list of people who are already advertising. This is key. So you are going after high quality targets and not just anyone and everyone just because they happen to be in your niche. So very important. All right, number 3, commit to a daily and weekly KPIs for outreach. This one is so important. This again goes back to the revenue calculator of stop fixating on just the goal of money or number of clients and start fixating on the goal of the activity. So what is your goal? How many people per day are you going to reach out to? Are you going to reach for 50 a day, 100 a day? You can really get to 100 plus pretty easy with some automation, some LinkedIn automation, some email automation. If you're in Go High Level, you can get there pretty easily. And I would highly recommend 50 being the minimum. And 50 is something you could knock out if you're doing it all manually in 30 minutes once you get good at it. So it doesn't have to be a huge time commitment, but you need to commit to a daily action so you start to stack consistency and not just give up after reaching out to 10 people they didn't get back to you. Not good enough. All right, that's number 3. Number 4, you're going to write your outreach scripts. This is definitely like what you choose for your scripts will depend strongly on the industry that you are working in, what you're selling, the market sophistication. If you have a very highly sophisticated market around marketing, so for example, marketers like you guys, or gym owners tend to have higher sophistication, or real estate owners tend to have, or real estate brokers tend to have higher sophistication, the approach has to be a little more nuanced. You can't be as direct, but lawyers, doctors, HVAC, plumbing, roofing, like solar, you can be really direct with those people and you don't have to have as much nuance to the outreach. If any of you want our best outreach scripts, I'm going to go ahead and just drop that in the chat right now. We got a great document here. You can go through that, grab the scripts that speak most to you. And if you want any clarity on like, hey, which one should I be using for my niche? Again, go ahead and throw that in the chat. I'm more than happy to chat that through with you as we're going into this. All right, number 5. This is easy. You just start sending the messages. You get started. And to me, like, just don't, if you're like overthinking, like, which message do I use? Which platform do I use? Where do I get my, like, I really want to encourage you to not overthink it and to dive headfirst into it because of my next recommendation. You want to actually use data to help you optimize the process. So much of us are basing our results on a feeling we have. Hey, we know, okay, we're not getting the result we want. And our feeling is like, oh, I'm frustrated about it, so I'm just probably going to give up. Versus diagnosing the actual issue. I don't want to go too deep onto the daily metrics tracker here. If any of you want this, by the way, like I'm happy to share this stuff with you guys. You can just drop a tracker or track in the chat here. We'll make sure we send it over to you. But essentially what this allows you to do is track how many friend requests you sent, how many new friends you got, how many replies you got, how many meetings you booked. And you can do this on LinkedIn, Facebook, for your warm calls. And why this is important is because now you can start to see, okay, if I'm doing Facebook group outreach, I'm looking at my KPIs. Is my connection rate within KPI? If it's not, is your connection message off? Is the audience off? Is there something off-putting about your profile maybe? That's something we can diagnose and fix. Is your reply rate within KPI? Is it around 10 to 30%? If not, okay, we need to diagnose the message. Is the message we're sending resonating? Do we need to change that potentially? If your show-up rate is struggling, okay, what is our process for actually getting people to the call once they have shown interest? And this is where, even when you know, hey, the outcome's not working the way I want it to, how do we diagnose it? How do we fix it? And this will give you that clarity. So highly recommend to take the 2 to 3 minutes a day as you prospect to fill this out. And if you're paying someone else to do this for you, this has to be a requirement of their job so you can actually see what they're doing. And if they're not getting the result, help them diagnose why. So very, very important document here. We'll make sure any of you who want this get it. I'm just going to drop this in the chat too, honestly. Keep this easy for you all. Daily metrics, tracker, cool, done, dropped it, all yours. Enjoy. All right. Last piece here is the follow-up and appointment setting. And this can get a little messy, I'll be honest, because if you're managing all this in social media, as an example, using an inbox to track everything, it gets messy. So I would have a platform like Go High Level, where you can put leads in and actually know, hey, this is a person I generated a conversation with. They're interested. This is their name, phone number, what that conversation, the context was. Cool. Now, if that person ghosts you or kind of falls off the radar, or you forget because it just gets buried in your inbox, now you have that somewhere else you can actually go look at and follow up with your best leads. And then also the appointment setting piece, which is, hey, I got a positive response. How do I convert that person now into an actual sales call? How do I turn that person, once they are interested in now booking a sales call, what do I send them to get them to show up? So this is the piece where we could spend a whole episode, honestly, talking about this, and we very likely will at some point. But this is just the last step here of making sure you are following up and setting those appointments with people who are actually showing interest. And if you want, just a couple of ideas around follow-up. Before I read these, don't go crazy with your follow-up, guys. If you're not getting them hooked in the first 1 to 2 messages, they're likely not going to respond or they're not interested. So don't try and have some crazy, elaborate, long sequence. In my opinion, you really want your first message to come on very strong and clearly, and hopefully it resonates. If it doesn't, that's fine, move on. But to me, like, if you're going overkill with like a 10 message sequence and you're sending messages out to them like 2-3 weeks after the initial one, it's overkill and you don't need that. But creative ways you can follow up be high touch messages. This one's the more time consuming one, but if you can reference something specific around a conversation you had with them, a goal you know they have, or something you know going on based on their website, their profile, etc. High touch messages that comment on something specifically related to them, super effective. Pattern interrupts. Funny memes, GIFs, emojis, a blunt message like, hey, are you avoiding me, LOL? Like that type of stuff can work and maybe off-putting to some, but when you can have that pattern interrupt that gets them to like kind of stop and laugh or react in a way where it's not just, oh my gosh, here's another freaking marketing message, you can have some fun with it, that makes a big difference. And if you're doing any calls to leads, really guys, like trying different times, different numbers, finding alternative contact information. Like if you guys are running ads right now, for example, some of our clients in the attorney space run ads and they get a cell phone number. People don't pick up their cell phones nowadays. Some do, but it's really hard to get those pickup rates. Ask Jen, she knows. It's not easy to get people to pick up the freaking phone. I see her smiling right now. Because of that, finding alternative contact information. So if you got a lawyer's cell phone, but he's not picking up, but you have his name and his email, I'd go plug that into Google. I'd see if you can find his office's phone number, because now you can call the office. And even if you get a gatekeeper, you have that permission because this lawyer opted into your ads. So, hey, Joanne, front desk, whoever this is, like Bob actually had opted into an ad we were running the other day. I wanted to reach out and schedule that call with him. So you have a lot more power now in that dynamic where you're not having to come from a place of being a cold call, but you can reference a previous conversation that you had. So I think this is a good kind of segue to the idea of warm calling. So we coach this concept called warm calling. I hate cold calling. Cold calling sucks because the person is confused. They're not usually wanting to talk to you. They feel like you're trying to sell them something. It usually doesn't work out amazing. So how we kind of flip that script is something called warm calling. Now, your warmest leads are going to be people who you've already spoken to. Maybe you did a sales call, or maybe they booked a call but didn't show. Maybe you went back and forth a little bit on Facebook, they stopped responding. That person who you've already had a previous touch point with is going to be so much easier to pick up the phone and reference that touch point. Now, let's just say you're just getting started on this, right? How do you create those warm calls now? I would start by picking that platform. Let's say it's Facebook. I'm going to DM 20 roofers today, 20 roofers tomorrow. And then next week, on Monday or Tuesday, I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call those 40 roofers. Now, not everyone's going to pick up. That's totally fine. Probably most of them haven't responded yet. You might get a couple people who replied. Cool. Start by calling them. But really how you do this, and again, I'm giving you guys everything today. Here in the outbound prospecting or the messages spreadsheet, the messages document, you'll see at the bottom, we have a warm call script and like framework. So if you scroll down this document I just shared with all of you, we have this warm call script. It's very, very effective because you are now referencing that previous touch point of, hey, we had connected on Facebook. And to me, we can get into semantics here. It might be a bit cold, and sure, in a perfect world, you're only going to call the warmest leads. But if you guys want sales calls like right now, you're gonna have to do some shit that's uncomfortable. That's just the reality. And if someone else is telling you differently, they're probably selling snake oil. There's going to be some hard shit you got to do. And if you want sales calls and you don't want to wait for people to get back to you, pick up the freaking phone. It makes a huge difference. And if you don't believe that this can work or it's not that effective, highly recommend you guys go into our Facebook group here and you type in, let me find this search here, something like cold call shotline or hot wing hotline. You can see Alex and I have done this many times and are very successful at it. It's pretty crazy. On some calls, we'll book 6, 7, 8 calls and sales calls for our clients. We just want to show you guys it's not that scary. You have fun with it. We're taking shots, by the way, and like eating ridiculously hot wings to make it more fun, but you can have a little fun with it and be loose and not be so tied to the outcome. You can actually see it works really effectively and you can watch us do it. So ignore our silliness and our drinking. And Alex is a bit of a lightweight, so it is entertaining because by the end of the videos, he's typically pretty drunk and saying silly stuff, but it's a good time and you'll learn a lot watching it. Cool. So in a nutshell, that was the first thing, guys. It's you compile or you pick your platform, you compile your list, you set a goal for your activity, you get your scripts, start sending the messages, track your data, and start following up and do appointment setting. Don't overcomplicate this. Just get started. Who cares if people are rude to you? They would have been a bad client anyways. You got to get okay with a little bit of rejection at this stage. And I promise you, I believe this so strongly, you will learn so much more about your offer and your audience and really refine your sales skills by doing 100 warm calls than you would sending 10,000 emails or just watching videos or hoping or creating content. Like you picking up the phone and calling people will teach you so much about your audience that it will be a game changer for you. And I want to really make a point on this. If they're in a place where they are saying, no, I'm not interested, I don't want this, really try your best to get feedback. Like, hey, no problem. Can I just ask, what are you hoping for or looking for? Like, are you trying to grow your business? If you were, what would you be trying? Like, what are you actually hoping for if I were to call you up? What would you be interested in buying? And sometimes it might just be like, hey, man, we're good. I don't want more leads. I'm happy with where my business is at. Okay, fine. But that feedback there can open the door to now a conversation about what they actually want and need and will inform you around your approach. What should I be saying to them? What should I be offering? What should I be selling? People will give you that feedback as long as you ask. We like to say a squeaky wheel gets oil. That means if you're the squeaky wheel, you're the one asking, you're going to get the oil because you asked for it. The silent wheel isn't going to get the oil because it's not asking for it. Silly metaphor, I know, but bear with me as we're going through this. Cool. Strategy number 2, if we're talking outbound prospecting specifically, and that's Dream 100. This is really where you kind of step up into the bigger leagues and where you put on your big boy, big girl pants and start to really connect with the top people in your space. This is earned over time for sure. Sometimes it can be bought through sponsorships. And this is more of a big wins, but less frequent, versus outbound prospecting, which is like more consistent, ongoing wins. This is like, you're going to get 5, 10, 20. One of our clients got 32 freaking clients from one conference they attended. But this is where you're going to find those ponds of your customers, and you're going to go to those ponds and you're going to get fish out of that pond. So step one in how you do this. And actually, let me give you a couple of examples too of this. So when I say dream 100, this is more like, it could be dream clients, and it could be dream strategic partners, dream referral sources. It doesn't really matter, but this is where outbound prospecting is so fun, because you get to pick, you decide that, right? And you get to go find the top whoever in your niche and reach out to them. But one of my favorites, two favorites, are events that you could sponsor or go speak at. Could be small. I used to do lunch and learns in my space where I'd buy 20 people lunch. They'd show up to a space. I do a little presentation, and then a couple of them might buy or refer me people. You can do this on a bigger scale. Alex is in front of 80, 100-ish people today. I'm going to be speaking, and we paid to sponsor that. So we paid to have that spot in the room, but worth it because now people can come to us. Or strategic partners. That's truly my favorite. So you guys need to start thinking about who are complementary service providers who are already serving my industry. A lot of times, my favorite example of this is other agencies who serve the same industry, but offer a different service. So let's say you run Google ads for roofers, go find all of the Facebook ad agencies out there for roofers and see if they'd be open to a partnership where they could get a small piece of any person they refer to you. Their clients win more, you're getting referrals, and the other agency making the referral wins as well. Or software companies, as an example. Go High Level is a longtime sponsor, and vice versa, as we sponsor their events and Alex speaks on their stages, one of our strategic partners, because we know that they can send us clients. So really attach yourself to these people in your space, and it's going to make a massive difference. So here's how you do it. You want to batch compile your ponds. So it's pretty simple. Hop over to Google, literally just type in the name of your niche, roughly a location, and then some of the keywords like association, group, or event. So I'll just give you an example here. I'm going to go Tampa Bay Mortgage Broker Association, right? And here we go. Perfect. Mortgage Brokers Association of Tampa Bay. And what's so crazy about these sites too, I don't know what it is about associations. They love to do this. They just show you who are, a lot of times, like, who are the people who are the board of directors, what's their names, what's their emails, what's their mobile freaking phone numbers. And what's beautiful about this is people who are in executive positions in these groups and associations have been in their industry for a long time. They've done this before. They know what they're doing. They are well connected, and they're always looking for additional ways to add value to their community. So I always love to use this one as an example, because as you go scroll through some of this, I guess this current event is they're doing a golf event, but let me go to upcoming events here. Yeah, they need to update their site. This is 2022 events. That's okay. This is just an example, right? Let's say it's the beginning of 2022 and you're looking at this. They are looking for ways to add value to the community. They're looking for speakers to come add value and teach their community something new. So a lot of times you may be able to get this set up for free. Last time I was on this site, they had a social media pro coming to speak to their event. That could be you if you're just reaching out and asking. My favorite and easiest way to do this and make that ask is really simple. It's just, I'm going to pretend Robert here. It looks like he's the president. So, hey, Robert, saw you are the president of the Mortgage Brokers Association of Tampa Bay. I combined those two phrases. And I serve mortgage brokers as well. I'd really love to know what it looks like to get involved in your community. Are there any events that I can attend? Anything I could possibly sponsor? What are your thoughts on that? And again, they're always looking for new blood in the community, new ways to add value. It's a very easy ask. And now you can open up the door to, hey, direct referrals, come speak to us. Here's a sponsorship opportunity, but you have to ask and you have to seek them out. It's very important. We just talked about this a little bit. Don't worry about the content offer or interview offer. We have those scripts here for you in the outreach scripts I provided. But to me, I'm always going to go with just the baseline, like, hey, saw we both serve the same industry. We'd love to know how we can support each other. Keep it simple. They want to help because that's what their position in their community is about, that they're helping their community. So you guys need to make sure you're leaning on them. And start sending messages. This one's really easy, right? Pick that KPI. We're like, hey, I'm going to pick 5 a week and I'm going to reach out to them. And then you can start there. So pretty direct and straightforward. Track your leads and conversations and then follow up consistently. And let me tell you what I mean by consistently. These are not people that I want you to reach out to once or twice. And if they don't get back to you, you give up. I want you to reach out to them through every platform possible that you can. I want you to add them on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram. I want you to email them. I want you to call them. I want you to show up at their house. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. But the point is, like, you have to find a way to actually get in front of them because they're such a high value target. It's not, if you just try twice and give up, it's not good enough. I'd bluntly get them on the phone and see how I can get involved. And if there isn't a way I can get involved, cool, no harm, no foul. At least I know, and now I'm not waiting for a Facebook message that's never going to show up. So I just wanted to cover this one. It's very, very similar to the outbound prospecting cold outreach we just spoke about. But again, with the intention of not just individual businesses, but groups, associations, and selling one to many, not selling one to one. Spoke about cold calling, warm calling a bit already. So I'm not going to go too deep into that today. And then, like I said, really the other farming inbound, like a bit of a hybrid strategy would be running ads and or running a Facebook group. I don't really want to get into that today because that's a whole other can of worms to unpack. And I've already been going for about 50 minutes. So that being said, I'm going to answer some of the questions that were dropped here in the chat. If you guys have anything else, go ahead and drop them here. I'm happy to answer them. I have another call in 13 minutes, but I'm not going anywhere. I can hang out with you guys here. And I will start knocking these out. Cool. So Ken asked earlier, how are you getting people into a Facebook group, ads, or personal outreach? Great question. If you are running a group, we do both, right? I initially started my first Facebook group through purely LinkedIn outreach. Now, this was at a time when you could add 100 people a day on LinkedIn. I think now it's like 20 to 30. They cut that back a bit. There's ways you can get around it. I'm not going to really get into it. If you use a group, you can a LinkedIn group, you can get around it, but not going to worry about that right now. But the point is, yeah, I would do that organically at first if you're not running ads. If you are running ads, here's how you do it. You give away a resource in the ad, and as they opt in on the ad, name, email, phone number. Hi, Jeff. Sorry, Jen's husband walked by. I like Jeff. He's a good guy. As they're opting in to that landing page, you push them to the group to get access to that resource. And then now they're joining the group, they're getting the resource, they're being nurtured. Hello again, Jeff. I love that guy. And yeah, that's one of my favorite ways to do it. So you can do both for sure. And that would be how I would approach it. Ruti, always had the impression inbound is better. So it's insightful to hear another perspective. Lead quality is better. Yeah, exactly. And again, guys, like I'm not going to sit here and pretend that running inbound ads is not an extremely effective way to grow your agency. I promise that I'd say a good chunk of our clients who, when they started running ads, that was a pivotal moment for their business. If I'm being like really transparent, the outbound prospecting, you should start with the hunting, go one-to-one, get a couple leads, get a couple calls, create clients and money that way. Take that money, reinvest it back into ads. So now you're getting people coming to you more consistently. And then your outbound prospecting switches from that one-to-one hunting to now farming. Cool. Ads bringing me consistent leads. Great. I'm going to go now once a quarter, every other month, maybe once every other week. Going to go participate in a group. I'm going to go add value. I'm going to go hunt one to many. And really, truly, depending on the industry you're in, that can be the thing that gets you to $1 million quicker than ads. I've seen people, for example, in the real estate space or in the marketing space, not go broke running ads, but bang their head against the wall running ads because sure, you could book 10, 15 sales calls a day. Are they going to be qualified? You don't really control that. You have to have a setter in place to self-qualify people or a form in process or a qualification process like a form. That's really a lot of moving parts. So really consider the industry you're in and don't discount ads, but know what to expect based on the industry you're going to serve. I'm going to keep going through this. I know, Biggie. My dog is like snoring here and having puppy dreams. And so if you hear a dog barking in his sleep, that's Biggie Smalls over here. Will the outbound prospecting workshop sheet be available? Yeah, I will give you guys that right now. No problem. Here is the doc. I'm gonna nudge him nicely with my foot. Biggie, it isn't boring. People like it, okay? Stop snoring. Let me drop the link here. There you go. Let me actually, I'm gonna delete that. Sorry, I'm gonna get you the copy link. There you go, copy link, done. All right. Let me check out a couple more of these questions. Double dial. Yeah, thank you, Jen. I appreciate that. One of the things we like to coach, and you'll see this in the spreadsheet or the document I shared with you guys, is this concept of double dialing. If you call someone one time and they don't pick up, call them again. I know it feels a little bit awkward, but it makes a huge difference because spam callers and robo callers, they only call once and then they hang up, or they like call once and it goes to voicemail and they just leave like an automated voicemail that your phone can't even translate because it's in Chinese and you're not even close to the right lead. But when you double dial and someone sees like, okay, this person's calling me twice, pickup rates double sometimes. It's pretty impressive what can happen if you just call twice. Really highly recommend doing that for sure. Thank you for the reminder. All right, mindset, I need to get around it. How did you help your clients with this? Carlos, if you want to unmute yourself, maybe tell me a little bit more about that. What are you feeling stuck on?
Yeah, I mean, I have been trying my way around this in a couple of ways. I thought that if I got into a master class or something like that, I would be in contact with people that might help me out with this. But in the end, I have attended like 2 different ones, and I think it is still a problem I have on my own. If you have ever met someone that, let's say, has the capability to do something about it, but still doesn't do it because of his or her mindset, how do you help that person overcome it? Because that's something I have been dealing for a while now.
Cool, great question. I love this. Mindset coaching is what we hire smarter people than me to deal with, but I will tell you that if once the pain of staying where you're at becomes greater than the pain of change is when you will make that change. And I really want people to not get to that point. I don't want them to be in a point where now I'm possibly facing not financial ruin, but a really bad spot where I can't pay my rent. And holy shit, that's motivating enough to now go pick up the phone. Ideally, you start before it gets to that point of the pain of changing. That I would not try and get to that point. So acknowledge that, like, where's that fear coming from, number one. And then number two, I would say and acknowledge like the obstacle is the way. There's a whole book on this. And it's the idea that that one thing you're avoiding, the one obstacle, the thing that like scares you the most is likely the answer to the problem. And the third thing I would say, and this is more of like me being raised by my mom, who's a bit of a hard ass and not the most like, she's great, don't get me wrong, but she's a hard ass, right? You kind of have to just like the Nike slogan. You just got to do it, man. You got to prove to yourself and just pick up the phone, try. It's not that scary. You'll maybe get, depending on the industry, lawyers are assholes, just food for thought. No offense to anyone, lawyers. They're prickly. Most people are really, really nice. You pick up the phone and call a couple people, you're going to surprise yourself how even if they're not interested, they're likely not going to be an asshole. Some might, but to me, it's like, Carlos, I'd really ask yourself, like, where is that fear coming from? And try and really face the fear and just do it, because you will surprise yourself by the result. And the last thing I would say on that is once you get that result, it becomes addictive. You're like, oh, it wasn't that bad. I can book a sales call by just doing that. Like, I'm going to keep doing that. One of our first clients, he did this. He was terrified of this. And I'm not going to recommend drinking as the problem solver for everything. Definitely not. But he liked the cold call shotline concept. So he and his business partner, like, because they were afraid to pick up the phone, they did the cold call shotline together for fun. They got a bottle of liquor and they started calling. Any call they couldn't book, they took a shot. You get 2 or 3 shots deep, you're going to have some fun with it, and it's not going to be as scary to you. Now, again, I'm being half facetious because drinking doesn't have to be the thing, but if you can find a way to have some fun with it and not have it be such a scary thing, that helps you kind of overcome that hurdle as well. So hopefully that gives you some guidance. Cool, man. Thank you for the question. I love that.
Thank you, man.
Elaine, I burned $200 in Facebook ads in 10 days and nothing to show for it. So first of all, super frustrating. I get that. Very hard to say why, first of all. Let me say the main thing first. $200 isn't enough money to decide that Facebook ads don't work. I know depending on the position you guys are in, $200 may be a lot for some people, but I really have to implore you guys that you're probably going to have to spend at least $1,000. I'm going to ballpark $1,000 just to figure out what's working and what's not, and to not get the results yet. But then based on that investment, the upfront investment to get there, okay, now I have the data. Now I'm seeing what my click-through rate is, what my lead cost is, what my opt-in rate is. You can use that data to make changes to earn you now to a place where, hey, now I am getting effective or leads in my niche at an effective cost per lead, but you really have to sort of earn that and be willing to make a bigger upfront investment initially for it to not work, to learn how and why. And if I could guess, first of all, the budget probably isn't big enough to really make an impact or reach the audience, but it's really hard without seeing the ads themselves. And Elaine, if you want to, in the Facebook group, drop some screenshots of the ads and like ask for some feedback, I'm more than happy to do that for you. You have to really be speaking exactly to an audience and speaking exactly to an outcome and a pain they want solved. So without that, though, if we're just kind of speaking, oh, in general, like, hey, we do Facebook ads, not saying you did that, but general ads don't work. You have to be hyper specific and go after one specific audience, and also be willing to spend a little bit above, $200 and to really figure it out. And that cost of doing business to figure it out is worth it, because now you can spend that $1,000 and it's going to work. So that'd be my 2 cents there. Lots of really great questions, everyone. I have to hop here in just a couple of minutes. So I'm going to make sure I answer these for you. Ken, what's your view on offering a top of funnel offer versus bottle of, okay, cool. Great question. I'm of the mindset, if you guys are in a place where you want to hit financial goals quickly, you want to grow your business, focus on one high ticket, high value offer. When we start selling lower ticket and you're starting to compete on price, there's a saying that the people who pay the least expect the most. It's true. If you are trying to sell and appeal to people at the bottom of the barrel, that person is going to be like, oh, I have to scrape the money together. They're going to be on your back. Like, I need this to work. But if the person like the roofing company making $5 million a year already, and they're just wanting to invest a couple grand a month in their ads to grow, they're not going to be hounding you likely. They're not going to be, desperate to make that money back. And you will, like I shared at the very beginning of this, I don't know if you can or caught the beginning, went through the revenue estimator calculator. You'll see it's crazy. Just a $500 offer versus a $3,000 offer. You have to get on like 5 to 6 times more sales calls and generate 5 to 6 times more leads just to get to the revenue numbers. So my opinion, always start high value, high ticket, find an industry whose customers are of high value. I always use roofing versus like a pizza shop as an example. Roofs cost like $20,000, right? If you want to charge $2 grand a month, you just need to get your one client. Now they can pay for you for the whole year or more. You want to like charge $2,000 to a pizza shop. How many pizzas do you have to sell just to break even? Probably a lot, hundreds of pizzas. So like find an industry whose customers are worth a lot to them. That's how you can charge a premium for your service. That's what I would personally do. And also, I wouldn't lead, Ken, with any direct offer in my cold outreach. I would ask and then speak to the outcome they're hoping to find. Like, hey, can you guys handle more re-roofs? Are you in a place where you're looking to take on more roofing jobs? We can send roofers more clients. And now it's not like I'm going to make them a direct offer. I'm just speaking to the outcome I know that they want to achieve. Cool. I got you, man. All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it. It gave me the whole hour, so I didn't expect to go this long. I'm going to hop to my next call. Very much appreciate you guys. We'll be same time, same place next week. Drop any questions you have in the Facebook group and we'll take care of you. And if you're interested in joining POD, got a great community here. So reach out to myself or Alex or Jen. We'll point you in the right direction. We'll help you scale up to that $1 million run rate and beyond. So appreciate all of you. I want to hop off. Peace.